Welcome to Deep Dive Conversation on Chapter 6 from our previously discussed dystopian novel Brave New World by Aldous Huxley.
That's right.
Our mission today, well, it's really to unpack this chapter. We'll use the text itself as our guide, trying to understand these key interactions and what they reveal, especially about Bernard Marx and, how he fits or doesn't fit with the world state's norms.
Yeah, this chapter definitely pushes Bernard's discomfort further into the spotlight, and we get some really telling glimpses into the conditioning of others, like Lenina, and even, surprisingly, the past of a really high-ranking official.
Okay, so Chapter 6, it really throws us deeper into, well, the whole emotional and psychological setup of the world state, doesn't it? Mainly through Bernard's perspective.
Right, but also by contrasting him so starkly with characters like Lenina.
And that contrast, it kicks off right away. Lenina's take on Bernard. Just odd, odd, odd. What's that repetition telling us about her worldview?
Oh, it tells us everything about how rigid her conditioned world is. For Lenina, normal means very specific, predictable things. Sensory pleasures, social stuff. A good holiday needs, lots of television, a scent organ, those escalator squash courts.
Right.
So when she thinks about the North Pole, the issue isn't the cold, it's the lack of those specific things. It's like a checklist for happiness, world state style.
So anything not on the list is automatically screened.
Exactly. Just weird. And her friends, well, they jump straight to pathologizing him, don't they? Fanny suggests alcohol in his blood surrogate.
Yeah, like a chemical defect.
It's just a convenient excuse, yeah.
Yeah.
And Henry, being blunt as ever, compares him to a rhinoceros that just doesn't respond properly to conditioning. They can only really process deviation as some kind of technical glitch.
It's interesting, though, that even though she finds him disquieting, Lenina still thinks he's pretty harmless. Sort of low stakes for being different, I suppose.
Uh-huh. And Bernard, well, he lives up to her odd label pretty quickly. He shoots down her typical date ideas, crowds, sports, calls electromagnetic golf a waste of time.
Which is totally baffling to Lenina. She asks, then what's time for?
That's a huge question, isn't it? For her, time is clearly for scheduled fun, approved fun. But Bernard, he's kind of reaching for something else. His idea, a walk, alone, in the Lake District, just to talk.
And that's the moment that really shows the gap between them. Lenina's like, talking. But what about the idea of just being together without an activity, without the immediate expectation of sex? It's just alien to her. What's that say about connection there?
It says genuine connection, conversation for its own sake. It's basically missing. Relationships are functional, right? Built around consuming entertainment, physical stuff. Bernard wanting to talk signals this yearning for something deeper, something more human than just conditioned responses. And even though she does manage to drag him to that wrestling match, his discomfort is just, you can feel it.
Yeah, he's obstinately gloomy, complaining about being in a crowd, as usual. And this is where he really puts his foot down, refusing soma.
And that is a critical moment, because refusing soma means refusing the world state's main tool for control and, well, happiness. When he says, I'd rather be myself and nasty, not somebody else, however jolly, that's almost revolutionary in this world.
He's choosing the real uncomfortable thing over fake bliss.
Exactly. But Lenina, her reaction is instant. Those hypnopedic commands just pop out. A gram in time saves 9. 1 cubic centimeter cures 10 gloomy sentiments.
They're automatic. Like reflexes.
Completely, her brain is literally programmed with drug solutions. So Bernard's outburst, oh, for Ford's sake, be quiet.
Yeah.
It's like this cry from someone desperate for something real, not just programmed lines.
And her response is just perfectly conditioned, too. A gram is always better than a damn, and she takes soma herself. Shows how deep that conditioning runs.
Totally ingrained.
Okay, let's shift to that helicopter scene. Over the sea. This feels like another really key moment where Bernard tries to explain himself.
Oh, absolutely. He makes them stop, hover over the water. He says he wants to feel more me, more on my own, not so completely a part of something else, not just a cell in the social body. He's trying to find a sense of self outside the collective.
And Lenina, she just panics. Pure terror, the emptiness, the quiet, no distractions. It terrifies her. It's horrible, she says.
Well, yeah, because for her, emptiness is terrifying. She has no inner resources to deal with it. Her whole identity is external, tied to the group, to constant stimulation. And his words about not wanting to be part of the social body, that's like heresy to her. Bernard, how can you talk like that?
Her programming just kicks right in. Everyone belongs, everyone works for everyone else. And she defaults to that conditioned idea of freedom.
I don't know what you mean. I am free to have the most wonderful time. Everybody's happy nowadays. And that right there is a crucial point about world state freedom. It's freedom inside the cage. You're free to pick from a huge menu of approved pleasures, distractions, but you are definitely not free from your conditioning, your caste, or the basic rules. Lenina truly thinks she's free because she feels happy and can chase pleasure.
Bernard tries to push it, though.
Mm.
Asks if she wouldn't want to be free in your own way, not everybody else's way. But she can't get it. The book says she's determined to preserve her incomprehension intact.
Her mind literally isn't built to process individuality or different kinds of freedom.
Yeah.
And her instant fix for his dreadful ideas.
Soma. Always Soma.
Of course.
You know, this really highlights a kind of tragic pattern for Bernard in this chapter. He gets these flashes, these moments of real insight, this desire to rebel, but then faced with discomfort or social pressure, he just caves.
Exactly. He takes the soma, the mood flips instantly, he gets all affectionate, and Lena's just relieved. Thank Ford, he's all right again. That little glimpse of a different self, just wiped away by the drug.
And the morning after gives us another really stark moment. Lena, totally casual, pats her legs and says, "Everyone says I'm awfully pneumatic."
Right. And Bernard's internal reaction there is so revealing. Like meat, he thinks. She doesn't mind being meat. He sees how the society reduces people to just bodies, utility, attractiveness, and it repulses him, but Lenina is completely fine with it.
He also says he regrets how the night ended. "I didn't want it to end with our going to bed, not at once, not the first day." He wanted something more than just immediate physical stuff.
Which then leads him to say what Lenina calls that incomprehensible and dangerous nonsense. He talks about wanting to hold back his impulses, wanting to know what passion is, wanting to feel something strongly.
And those are totally forbidden ideas. Passion, strong feelings, they shake up the community. So Lenina's programmed responses just act like shields. Never put off till tomorrow the fun you can have today. And the big one, when the individual feels, the community reels.
That last one. That's the core fear of the world state. Individual emotion is a threat to their whole stable system. Bernard's response, almost bold, well, why shouldn't it reel a bit? It's pure rebellion, even if it's fragile.
Yeah.
His desire to be an adult all the time, to experience life with depth, complexity, not just this childish pleasure-seeking, it's completely lost on Lenina. Which just confirms his sadness that for her it was all just fun in that shallow world state way.
And just to hammer it home, Lenina tells Fanny about it, and Fanny just repeats the standard line. It's the alcohol they put in his surrogate.
Yeah.
The system has a neat little box for every problem.
Right, it explains away any deviation. And this whole situation kind of sets up the next big moment in the chapter, which is really unexpected. It's with the director. Bernard goes to get the permit for the New Mexico reservation.
Oh, yeah. And the director's reaction to just hearing New Mexico reservation is not what you'd expect from this guy. Agitated astonishment.
It totally hits a nerve. The name triggers this buried memory, and unbelievably, he actually shares it. This kind of spontaneous personal story. It's a huge violation of world state norms. They don't do personal pasts, especially emotional ones.
He tells this story about going there, maybe 25 years ago, with a beta-minus girl who he notes was pneumatic, of course.
Naturally.
Getting lost, a storm, she disappears, he gets hurt, loses his soma, can't find her back at the rest house.
And the really shocking part, for someone in his position, is admitting the emotional impact. He says it upset me very much, more than it ought to have done. And get this, he says he actually dream about it sometimes. That's raw emotion grief, maybe trauma that hasn't been wiped out by conditioning or soma over decades.
Wow. And he immediately tries to brush it off, calls it a trivial anecdote, a discreditable secret. He's clearly ashamed of having felt something so strongly and remembered it.
It's such a critical insight, isn't it? Even the guys running the system aren't totally immune to basic human feelings like attachment, loss, no matter how hard they try to suppress it. And Bernard's reaction is interesting, too. He's almost envious that the director got to experience such a terrible shock, something so real and powerful.
But the director slams that door shut fast, doesn't he? The shame just flips into anger, aimed right at Bernard.
Oh, yeah. He needs to grab control again of himself and of Bernard, who he now sees as a threat. He just lays down the law. Bernard's weird behavior outside work, it is the center's business. It reflects badly on them. Alphas especially have to conform, even against their inclination.
And then comes the hammer. Transfer to a subcenter, preferably to Iceland, for any more lapse from a proper standard of infantile decorum.
That phrase, infantile decorum, it's perfect. They're meant to act like good little children, only wanting simple, immediate fun. The director's voice changes then, becomes wholly righteous and impersonal, he's basically channeling the disapproval of the whole society.
And here we see Bernard flip-flop again. At first, the threat actually kind of excites him. He leaves with a swagger, feeling embattled, exulting. He thinks Iceland sounds like a stimulating and life-giving threat. He's almost enjoying being the martyr.
Yeah, he's playing the hero in his head. He doesn't quite believe it's real. But the second Helmholtz confirms the director is serious, all that bravery just evaporates. He's agonized, utterly dejected, appalled. The imagined stoicism is completely gone.
He just falls apart, rages at the director, rages at himself for being weak.
And guess who's there with the usual solution? Lenina, offering soma, quoting that mantra, was and will make me ill. I take a gram and only am.
The ultimate off switch. 4 tablets and boom, the past was the scary future, all gone, just the nice fuzzy soma present. Roots and fruits were abolished, the flower of the present rosily blossomed.
It's the cycle we keep seeing. Discomfort pops up, conditioning wobbles or gets challenged, soma gets offered, fake happiness returns, and the challenge just gets pushed back down.
But despite all that drama, the trip to the reservation actually happens. And the description of the journey and getting there, it gives us more of these contrasts between the world state way and, well, whatever's on the reservation.
Definitely. Like the Santa Fe Hotel, it's just this overload of instant gratification tech. Liquid air, vibro-vacuum massage, radio, hot contraceptives, 8 different smells, all just for physical comfort and distraction. Lenina loves it, naturally.
Well, Bernard's still worrying about, like, the cost of the eau de cologne tap. Still anxious.
Yeah. And the warden character they meet, he's almost a cartoon of hypnopedic learning, just spouting random facts about the reservation, completely missing any real meaning.
And Lenina's reaction to him is classic. Takes soma, totally zones out, nods politely, but is completely checked out internally. It shows soma isn't just for happiness, it's also for tuning out anything boring or difficult, anything that doesn't fit the program.
Right. And the warden's description of the reservation itself is just a list of everything the world state finds horrifying. Absolute savages, repulsive habits, things like marriage, families, no conditioning, monstrous superstitions, diseases. The whole idea of natural birth, family life, it's obscene to them.
That fence they cross. It's more than just wire, isn't it? It's drawn as this symbolic line between their engineered world and the messy, uncontrolled reality of the reservation. The geometrical symbol of triumphant human purpose, it says.
Yeah, it represents their belief that they've conquered nature, conquered human messiness, and the pilot laughing at the animal skeletons by the fence they never learn just reinforces that contempt for anything wild or outside their control.
And his attitude towards the people there, calling them perfectly tame because of gas bombs, finding everything they do is funny. It just shows how they dehumanize anyone living differently. They're just objects for control or amusement.
Exactly. And Bernard, even after all his earlier soul-searching, he's on soma here too. He laughs at the pilot's cruel joke, then just falls asleep. He's passively carried into this place where he was supposedly looking for something different.
It really underlines how deep that soma habit goes, doesn't it? Even when he's right on the edge of something else.
Yeah, the society's tools are just so embedded.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Chapter 6, what's the big takeaway here? What does this chapter really show us about conditioning's power, how it shapes what people think is normal or free or even happy?
Well, I think it shows that conditioning is incredibly effective. It creates people who don't just accept their world, but are genuinely, fundamentally unable to even imagine alternatives. Normality becomes rigid conformity. Freedom means access to manufactured pleasure. Happiness is just, the absence of uncomfortable feelings managed by drugs and slogans. It's a really powerful look at how environment can basically dictate identity.
And Bernard's struggle, that back and forth between wanting to be an individual and then caving under pressure or just taking soma. How does that resonate today? Do you think we see echoes of that?
Oh, absolutely. I think you see it in the pressure to conform, whether it's online social norms or, real-world expectations, and the temptation to just avoid difficult feelings, to reach for distraction or instant gratification instead of sitting with discomfort. That feels a bit like our modern soma, doesn't it? Bernard wanting to be more me, but kind of lacking the strength or support to keep it up. That feels incredibly human and maybe relevant to how hard it can be to figure out who you are in our own complex world.
And finally, that bombshell from the director about his past. What does that tell us about the potential human cost of all this engineered happiness?
It suggests that even decades of conditioning, even being high up in the system, it doesn't completely erase basic human capacities. Things like attachment, loss, grief. The fact that he still dreams about that girl after 25 years and feels shame about it, it implies that burying those deep feelings, it costs something. The world state offers endless fun, but maybe it starves something deeper, something to do with authentic feeling, both the good and the bad, that makes us, fully human.
So here's something to think about. In a society engineered for constant, easy happiness, is wanting authentic feeling, even if it's painful, the ultimate act of rebellion.
It's definitely the most dangerous act, I'd say, because it challenges the whole foundation of their world. It suggests there might be something more important than just feeling good all the time.
Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to see you when we discuss the next chapter.